The evening I learned there is no such thing as disagreeing quietly, my husband never once raised his voice. He only laid his fork down across the rim of his plate, the careful way he laid it whenever I had cost him something, and looked at the wall a little over my shoulder as though I had already gone up the stairs, though I was still standing right there with the dish towel in my hands. The kettle was ticking on the cold stove the way iron does when the fire has gone out of it, and there was one plate between us on the table, and I remember thinking, foolishly, that surely a woman was allowed the 3 small words I had just said. I had said them low, without heat, the way I had always believed a wife was permitted to disagree, so long as she did it gently and kept her eyes down. I did not yet know that I had stepped across a line I had never once been shown was there, and that by the Thursday there would be a bishop drinking my coffee at that same table. I want to tell you about that evening, and about the 3 words I said at my own table, words so small I could hold all 3 in a single breath, that I have never once repeated to a living soul in our district. It is only a woman with a dish towel, saying a plain thing in a plain kitchen. And it was the evening the whole shape of what I was truly permitted came clear to me, all at once, and I have carried it quietly ever since. I still believed a wife was allowed to disagree, so long as she did it quietly enough. Before I go on, let me say the one thing I say to every woman who finds this window for the first time. Stay. Sit down with me a while. There is a little bell near this window, and if you ring it, I will know to call you back the next evening I have something to tell, because the things I say here are the things we are never permitted to say aloud in the district. And down in the comments, tell me one small thing, and I do read everyone. What is the smallest sentence you were ever afraid to say aloud to someone who held authority over you? Not a shout, not a defiance. Only a small, true sentence, 3 or 4 words, that you swallowed because you already knew what it would cost you. I have asked a great many women that, and most go very still, and then a tired knowing comes over their faces, because nearly every one of us is carrying a sentence like that, kept down so long we have half forgotten the sound of our own voice saying it. Here is what speaking back truly means among a plain people. It is not the raised voice you are picturing, not a slammed door or a shouted word, for I never once saw such a thing. It is far quieter. It is any sentence that carries the word no somewhere inside it, or that presses the word I up against the word you, in a tone that lets on, even softly, that a woman believes her own opinion is hers to have. The absence of a shout does not mean the absence of a law. I only learned where the law was by the sound it made under my foot when I stepped on it. I have written all of this down, everything I was never able to say aloud in our district, in a small book. It is called A Quiet and Faithful Home, and if you look, there is a little code resting on your screen just now that you may scan, and it will open the book to you. I would like you to have it as my gift, freely, and let it be a comfort to you the way the writing of it was a comfort to me. There is no hurry about it at all. It will keep. But please do not go yet, because I have not told you yet what the 3 words were, nor what my husband did when I said them, nor what came slow and steady down our own lane and sat itself at my table by the Thursday. Those are the whole reason I can sit at this window tonight with the thing at rest inside me and no bitterness left in it. But here is the thing no one prepares a plain girl for. They raise you to be gentle, and they let you believe, because no one ever says otherwise, that your gentleness is a kind of key, that if you keep your voice soft enough, you will be allowed to carry an opinion of your own through a marriage, and no one will mind that you have it. And no one gives you a word for the day you learn it was never the loudness they minded. It was the opinion itself. A soft no and a shouted no are, in the end, the very same no, and all the softness you spent your girlhood perfecting buys you nothing in the moment it finally matters. I still believed a wife was allowed to disagree, so long as she did it quietly enough. Let me tell you how it came about. My husband, and I will call him Amish, was a good man. I want to set that down plainly and early, so you do not think this is the tale of a cruel man. He was steady and quiet, and never once raised his hand or his voice to me in all our years. This is not the tale of cruelty. It is the tale of something far more ordinary and far harder to name. It began with a cousin of mine, a girl not yet grown, who had lost her mother that autumn and her father some years before, and had nowhere in particular to be. She asked whether she might stay with us through the worst of the winter until the roads were fit again, and something more settled could be found for her. And Amos said her place was with the wider family, not with us. He said it kindly, 3 times over that one week, a little quieter each time, the way a man speaks when he considers the matter already closed. On the 3rd time he said it, I set down the dish towel, and I said the 3 words. I said, I don't agree. That was all of it. I don't agree. I gave no reason, for I had none ready, only the plain feeling that a cold and motherless girl ought to have one warm room for one winter. And Amos laid his fork down across the rim of his plate and told me very calmly, without any anger in it, to go upstairs and think about what I had said. And so I went. I sat on the edge of a quilt I had stitched myself, in a plain room gone blue with the last of the evening, and listened to my husband down below, washing in his slow and even way the very dishes I had left half finished, and I understood that I had crossed a line I had never once known was drawn there. Now I would like to tell you that I learned my lesson upstairs on that quilt, but I did not yet, because I did not yet believe the line was real. 3 quiet days went by, and then there came a second small thing. I had made a quilt that winter, a good one, and I wished to sell it, for the money it would bring was money we could use. And when he told me no, I said that I did not agree with that either. Only that. And this time, Amos did not send me upstairs to think. He rose from the table without a word, took his hat down from the peg, and went out and drove down our lane in the last of the light. And I stood at the window and watched the buggy go, and I already knew exactly where a man drives when his wife has disagreed with him twice in 1 week. I knew it the way you know a thing in your body before your mind will say it, because I had watched that same buggy go down other women's lanes, and carried casseroles to those women afterward, and said nothing, and gone home. I still believed a wife was allowed to disagree, so long as she did it quietly enough. And on the 3rd day, sitting across from the bishop at my own kitchen table, with my own coffee cooling in his cup, I understood at last that there is no quiet enough. There was never any quiet enough. There is only what is permitted and what is not. He came on the Thursday in the middle of the day and sat down at my own table, and I poured him coffee, because that is what a woman does when the bishop is at her table, no matter what he has come for. He was not unkind either, and I want to be fair to him, for he believed with his whole heart he had come to help me. He asked gently whether I believed the husband is the head of the wife as Christ is the head of the church, and I said what a woman says to a bishop in her own kitchen, her hands folded in her apron. And he told me Amos had said I had grown hard. That was his word. Hard. A hardness in a wife, he said, is a danger to a whole household, and it was his hope I would soften. And he said the word submit, once, quietly, the way a man sets a heavy stone down so everyone can see it is there. And then he thanked me for the coffee and rose and went. And the thing that came up in me as I sat there alone was not grief, and it was not fear. It was a cold and quiet thing, low and still, that I would not have a word for years. I only knew that it had a temperature, and that the temperature was cold. For I want you to understand what a plain husband is permitted to do when his wife has spoken back, because it is never called by the name it deserves. He may send her upstairs to think, as though she were a child kept in from the yard. He may go quiet on her for days, so the house fills with a silence louder than any shout. He may see to it that she does not go to the quilting bee, nor drive over to sit with her own sister, until she is more herself again. He may draw the household money in close, so its small freedoms thin to nothing. And there is one thing more, held at the far end of it, that a wife who will not soften may in the end be asked to kneel before the whole church and confess her hardness out loud. And every last piece of it is called help, not punishment. Never once punishment. Your husband is only helping you to grow. I had a friend in those years, and I will change her name and call her Katie, and I tell you her part only so you understand how far that road can go, for it did not stop, in her case, where it stopped in mine. Katie had been a spirited girl once, the kind who laughed with her whole face, and she disagreed with her husband over some small matter, and did not soften when she was asked to, because she did not believe, any more than I once had, that a small, honest sentence could cost so much. And it went the whole way with her. She knelt before the gathered church, on a plain wood floor, and confessed aloud that she had been proud and hard toward her husband, in front of every soul she had known since she was a girl. I watched a woman I loved give away the last of the laugh in her face to buy back her peace, and she was gentle ever after, gentle as still water, and I have never once been able to call that gentleness by any name but grief. Now I must be careful here, the same careful I am always careful, because it would be an easy thing to lay all of this at one man's door, and there is no single door to lay it at. Amos drove down that lane because his own father had driven down it before him, and had never imagined a household run any other way, and thought he was only doing the loving thing a husband is charged to do. The bishop said the word submit because 100 bishops had said it before him. It is not any one soul's sin. It is the water we were all of us born swimming in, a long line of good and gentle people handing down a beautiful and dangerous idea that a home has room for only one opinion, and a wife keeps the peace by keeping still, and a fish cannot hate the water. That is the hardest kind of wrong there is to name. Many years on, I said a little of this out loud, only the once, to a woman not of our people, an older English woman who had kept her own house a lifetime in the world outside. And I braced for her to tell me I was proud, or hard, or that I had turned against the good order of things, for those were the only words I had ever been given for what I felt. And she did not. She was quiet a while, and then she gave me the plain words I had never had for myself. She said, "Child, a house where only one of you is ever allowed to be right is not a peaceful house. It is only a quiet one, and those two are not the same." I had believed all my life that the coldness I felt at my own table was a hardness in me, a fault of my own making, and here was one ordinary woman telling me it had never been a fault in me at all. It was the honest ache of a soul asked, gently and endlessly, to be no one. I cannot tell you what those words did in me. It is one of the reasons I can sit at this window at all. So this is what I do now, and it is a small thing, and it is the largest thing I know how to hand anyone. When a young wife stands beside me at a washing up, and I watch her swallow a sentence, watch the small words go back down unsaid the way I once did, I lean in close, where no deacon can hear, and I tell her the one true thing no one ever told me. I say, your quiet is not the same thing as your peace. You are allowed to have a thought that is your own, and to say it, gently, and the once, and the having of it does not make you hard, nor proud, nor a danger to your own house. It only makes you a soul, which is what the good Lord made you before ever he made you anyone's wife. Say the small true thing, at least the once. The heavens will not fall. I have watched them not fall. And to you, whoever you are, wherever this quiet finds you tonight, I want to say 3 things before I go. If you are a woman who has swallowed the same small sentence so many times that you have forgotten its very shape in your mouth, who can no longer remember what your own opinion even sounds like out loud, I see you, and the sentence is not gone. It is only waiting, and it is not too late to let it up. If you are a woman still living inside a house where speaking costs you more than silence ever will, where you have counted the price of a single honest word and set it back down unsaid, I see you too, and there is no condemning of you in this window, only company, for I have folded my own words back down more times than I could number. And if you are a young wife only now learning where the line is drawn, feeling for it in the dark the way I once did, hear me most of all. Do not learn it the way I did, with a bishop at your table on a Thursday. Learn this much sooner than I did, that a home with room for only one of you is a home you may want a little more from. I wish someone had told me sooner where that line was drawn, and that the crossing of it would not make me a wicked woman, nor a hard one, nor a wife who had failed at the one thing she was made for. No one told me. I had to find the line the long way, on a quilt in a room gone blue and across a table from a bishop. And so I have become the woman who tells the young ones where the line is, while there is still time for the telling to be a comfort and not a grief they carry home from a life spent making themselves smaller and smaller until they can no longer feel where they end. Tell me in the comments, so the other women know they are not the only one who ever put a true sentence back down unsaid. What is the smallest sentence you were ever afraid to say to someone who held authority over you? I read everyone, and I answer where I can. And the little book, A Quiet and Faithful Home, is waiting for you still, in the pinned comment and in the code there on your screen, my gift, whenever you would like it. Ring the little bell before you go, so I will know to call you back, and stay a while near this window. Sit at this window with me again. There is always more of the story than one evening can hold.